The morning chase. The sun had barely risen over the ridge when the first streaks of golden light touched the small valley where Emma lived. Their ranch was quiet at that hour, save for the soft clucking of hens and the faint creak of the barn doors moving in the morning breeze. Emma, a bright-eyed girl of 9, was already awake. She loved mornings, the way the air smelled clean and cool, the way the world seemed to whisper secrets before the grown-ups fully stirred. But what she loved most was her pony, Clover. Clover wasn't a grand horse like the ones her father bred for shows and work. She was small, sturdy, and a bit mischievous. With her soft brown coat and a pale white star on her forehead, Clover looked like she had been dipped in sunlight. Emma thought the pony was her very best friend in the world, and in many ways, Clover behaved like it, nudging her shoulder when she felt lonely, trotting alongside her when she ran through the fields, and whickering softly as if sharing secrets only Emma could hear. That morning, Emma had slipped into her boots, still damp from yesterday's dew, and padded outside with the thought of brushing Clover's mane. But Clover was not in her usual place near the paddock. The pony had wandered off, tail flicking as she trotted toward the canyon trail that snaked beyond their land. Emma frowned. Clover never went far without her. "Clover," she whispered, careful not to wake her still sleeping parents. But Clover didn't pause. Her hooves clattered softly against the dry earth, and the pony slipped past the gate as though she had a purpose. Emma hesitated. The canyon wasn't forbidden, exactly, but it was spoken of in hushed tones. Her grandmother often warned her not to wander there alone. "Strange sounds come from the canyon," her grandmother used to say, eyes sharp and voice heavy. "That place remembers things better left forgotten." But curiosity had always been Emma's shadow. And besides, Clover was her responsibility. Pulling her shawl tighter around her shoulders, Emma followed. The morning air was cool against her cheeks, carrying the smell of sagebrush and dust. As she hurried after Clover, she felt both excitement and unease. The ranch buildings grew smaller behind her, and ahead stretched the open fields dotted with wildflowers, their heads still heavy with dew. Clover moved with purpose, not glancing back once. Her ears flicked forward as though she was listening to a call Emma could not hear. By the time they reached the canyon's mouth, Emma's heart was pounding, not from the run, but from the sight before her. The canyon loomed like a great scar in the earth, its walls streaked with layers of red and ochre, glowing softly in the rising sun. Shadows pooled in its depths, and the air inside seemed different, cooler, and almost humming with life. "Clover, why here?" Emma whispered. The pony stopped at the edge, pawing at the ground before stepping gracefully down the narrow trail. Emma followed carefully, her small boots slipping against loose stones. The deeper she went, the more the sounds of the outside world faded, the wind, the birds, even the rustle of grass. All that remained was the steady sound of Clover's hooves and Emma's own breathing. The canyon walls rose higher as they descended. Strange patterns marked the stone, lines and spirals Emma didn't recognize, like someone had painted with fire and smoke long ago. Some looked almost like drawings of animals, a deer with antlers stretching wide, a bird mid-flight, even what seemed to be a horse carved faintly into the rock. Emma reached out, brushing her fingers against the cool stone. For a moment, she felt a tingling in her fingertips, like the wall itself was alive. She pulled her hand back quickly, heart thumping harder. "Just rocks," she whispered to herself. "Just rocks." But Clover didn't slow. She walked deeper, into a bend where the canyon narrowed so tightly that Emma had to squeeze sideways to pass. On the other side, the canyon widened again, and Emma froze. Before her stretched a hidden hollow bathed in golden light. The walls seemed to glow as the sun struck some unseen surface above, scattering light across the stone like fire dancing. And in the center of the hollow was something Emma had never seen before, something that did not belong to the world she knew. It shimmered faintly, half buried in the earth, as though waiting for her. Emma's breath caught. "What is that?" Clover gave a soft whicker, almost as if urging her forward. Emma's feet trembled, but her curiosity tugged her like an invisible thread. She stepped closer, her eyes wide, her world narrowing to the mysterious shape lying in the canyon floor. And in that instant, Emma knew, whatever she had found, whatever Clover had led her to, would change everything. The canyon's secret. Emma stood at the edge of the hollow, her breath shallow, her small hands balled into fists at her sides. The morning light, filtered through some unseen crack in the canyon wall above, painted the ground with shifting gold and crimson. The object half buried in the earth glimmered faintly, as though it contained the sunlight inside it. Clover lowered her head and pawed the ground near the strange shape, snorting softly. She seemed unafraid, almost insistent that Emma come closer. Emma swallowed hard. "You want me to look, don't you?" she whispered to her pony, though Clover only flicked her ears in response. Step by step, Emma approached. The canyon felt utterly silent now, as though the world itself held its breath. She knelt by the object, brushing away loose dirt with trembling fingers. It wasn't a rock. Nor was it metal, at least not like the nails and horseshoes she had seen her father work with. Its surface was smooth, too smooth, and it shimmered with colors that shifted like oil on water, blues and greens and golds that seemed to ripple even though it lay perfectly still. Emma gasped. "It's beautiful." Her fingers hovered above it, hesitating. She remembered her grandmother's stories about the canyon, of spirits who walked in shadows, of things buried that should not be unearthed. But curiosity burned stronger than fear. Carefully, she pressed her palm against the object. A shiver ran through her entire body. For an instant, her mind filled with images, fleeting, bright, and confusing. She saw horses running across endless plains, their hooves sparking light. She saw people dressed in clothes she didn't recognize, carving patterns into the canyon walls. She heard laughter, then the sound of drums, and then silence. The visions vanished as quickly as they came, leaving her trembling. She snatched her hand back. What was that? Clover whinnied sharply, as though answering, and Emma staggered to her feet. Her eyes darted to the canyon walls. She noticed, for the first time, that the markings weren't just random shapes. They told a story. The spirals, the animals, the riders. Together they painted a tale of a people who once lived here. People who had carved the land with their hands, who had run with wild horses, who had left behind something, this object, as a memory or perhaps as a warning. Emma's chest tightened. Grandmother was right. The canyon remembers. Her first instinct was to run, to leave this strange thing buried and never speak of it again. But Clover stepped closer, nudging her shoulder with a gentle push. Emma looked into the pony's dark, steady eyes. "You brought me here," she whispered. "You wanted me to find it." The canyon seemed to shift around her. The silence deepened, heavy but not threatening. It felt almost expectant, as though the canyon itself was waiting for her choice. Emma knelt again. She touched the object once more, and this time she did not pull away. The visions returned, stronger. She saw the canyon alive with people, children laughing, women grinding grain, men painting the walls with vibrant colors. Horses roamed freely among them, treated not as beasts but as partners. At the center of it all was a girl, no older than Emma herself, standing beside a pony that looked strikingly like Clover. The girl in the vision raised her hand, and the canyon glowed with the same golden light Emma now saw dancing around her. The vision faded, but the feeling it left behind lingered, warmth, belonging, and a sense that Emma was part of something much bigger than she ever imagined. Emma's throat tightened. She whispered, "They were here. A long time ago. And they left this." Her mind spun with questions. Who were they? Why had they vanished? And why did she feel, deep in her heart, that she was meant to find this place. She sat in silence for what felt like a long time, Clover standing faithfully beside her. Slowly, Emma realized the truth. She could never see her home, her land, or even Clover the same way again. The canyon wasn't just a scar in the earth. It was a memory, a story carved into stone, waiting to be told. And now, she was part of it. At last, Emma rose. She pressed her hand one final time to the strange, shimmering object. "I'll keep your secret," she whispered. "But I won't forget." Clover gave a soft whinny, as though in agreement. Together, they turned back toward the narrow trail that would lead them home. As Emma climbed, the morning sun climbed too, flooding the canyon with light. But Emma knew something had changed. The world felt larger now, more alive, filled with unseen stories and voices carried on the wind. By the time she reached the canyon's rim, her heart was no longer heavy with fear but full of determination. She wasn't just a little girl chasing her pony anymore. She was the keeper of a secret, the witness to a forgotten world. And though she could not yet understand what it meant, Emma knew with certainty that what she had found in the canyon would change everything. Her life, her family's, perhaps even the valley's itself. For the canyon had remembered. And now so would she.